Adam the Half Hand.
So that's starting on the podcast. I've got to cut all this in.
Tip of the tongue, the teeth and the lips. Red lorry, yellow lorry.
This is all going in the podcast.
Oh,
I'm loving this. That's amazing. Oh.
Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers.
Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Where's the pack of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? Not quite, but...
Oh, look, advanced level tongue twisted.
That was...
How much wood could a woodchuck chuck
if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
What was the one I saw the other day? It was like, how many Rob Lowe's could Rob Lowe rob if he went into Rob...
So you're into
if
Rob
Rob
Lowe.
went into Rob Lowe's store. Like,
okay.
yeah. A bit
Like
niche, innit?
There's a niche, there's the word. Clap for me then. No applause. I'll applause for you. Welcome everybody to episode 17 of Swords, Boards and Beards. We're dubbing Gift That Keeps On Giving. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. We are with you today to chat our usual bobbins, but also with some focus about Christmas and gaming and things that you might
Want to get the geeky person in your life.
Yes, if you are interested to...
Or if you are the geeky person in your life, then things you can get for yourself.
Any excuse to go shopping. Christmas is often one. If you're thinking about trying it, if you've got time off at Christmas, if you want to give it a go and you haven't thought about it and it either scares you or daunts you because you don't know where to start, or there's that person in your life that says, I thought about giving this a go.
Or fantastic, or if you've got your family coming around on Christmas Day and you can't stand them, you don't want to spend time talking about them, you could throw yourself into an RPG where you pretend to be different characters and you don't actually have to talk to them. You can talk to the elf across the table instead.
A small sidebar, genuine question: Would your family visit at Christmas? Would they RP? Would they role play?
No, I think my mum probably would. She'd probably get involved.
Okay.
I think my stepdad would be like allergic to it.
Okay. Proactively
he would recoil in horror, I think. But
okay, would he do like one of those murder mystery dinners? Or would that throw him off as well?
yeah, I think that would throw him off as well.
Because that's the close before I got into role playing games.
Yeah.
The murder mystery dinner was the closest.
My sister-in-law bought us a cowboy murder mystery night like set, and we haven't done it yet. But it's
good fun.
We wanted to do it with our Monday night crew.
Okay, they are good. They are good fun. I was the murderer in the one I did, and I didn't know it until the end. So I was that rubbish at it, but it was fun. Today we're going to do something slightly different. We're going to reverse the episode, so give you the meat of the
sandwich first,
and then the bread later. So before Leonard inspires us, and I try and convince Adam to sing, we're going to crack on with the meat of the pudding. Meat of the pudding? That's not even an expression.
Meat pudding is definitely a thing.
Is it?
Yeah. Steak and kidney pudding. You were a vegan, so it's
We're gonna come back to that. Otherwise,
I don't think it's very tasty. But...
No. We thought we'd talk to you guys all about stuff that we think you might like to try at Christmas, and then we're going to look at our Christmas traditions, geeky things we do, and have a bit of a Christmas episode. So while you're going around the shops, Christmas shopping, we can have you you can have us in your ears, listening, so you don't have to cope with the shoppers and the carolers. Just put your headphones on, listen to your podcast.
Now we're going to sing Mariah Carey continually for the next hour.
Okay.
Don't look at me like that. It's not happening.
You just said you were going to do it. And
no, I'm not going to do it. It was a joke. It was a Christmas joke, Adam.
Did you see that video she did where she went from the Halloween look, dressed up as the Wicked Witch of the West, and then there's a video she made where she strips herself back to the Christmas outfit, not like that. And she basically goes into that song that she's known for.
Yeah.
That song that
song that we shall not speak its name.
No, it's like I've forgotten what it's called, and I remember.
Don't want to rouse her from the cave.
No. So stuff you would like to do. So whether it's role-playing games, whether it's wargaming, places to start that won't break the bank, with the exception possibly of all things 40k, because 40k can't not break the bank.
Yeah, it's a bit of a thing.
I'm
trying to do my best for this.
No. And if you, things to start with, and then if you like them, try them over Christmas, and then if you like them, go shopping with January sales.
Yeah, love it. So, where are we starting with?
Would you like to start?
I can start. So we'll talk tabletop wargaming. If it's something that you've been interested in, and not quite know where to jump in, and you've been given some lovely Christmas money from Nan, and it's time to look into buying an army or starting the foundation of an army, there's a few places you can start. My first tip would be don't go directly to Games Workshop or Warhammer.
Interesting, controversial.
They're lovely and they'll give you all the advice you want, but all local hobby shops, so we've got a couple in this city, I'm sure there's some in the city you're in, have a discounted price, and you're also supporting small business.
Yeah.
So
all up for that.
It will be cheaper for you to buy miniatures from a local hobby shop rather than directly from Games Workshop. The downside of that is that there'll be certain things that they don't have, and if you order them in Games Workshop, you'll pay a bit more, but they'll get it in within like 2 days of you ordering it. And also all the hobby supplies, all your paints, brushes and stuff, you've got a much bigger range at most GW shops rather than going to a local hobby shop. I think ours is quite an exception because we've got quite a big hobby shop over here.
Actually, a question to you about this, because I was going to raise it in a different episode and forgot. But from a getting ready, trying it out perspective, you can inform them more, genuinely, but they will let you try the game out in the shop.
Yeah, so you can have like what they call an introductory session in a shop where you can do the 3 aspects of it. You can build a miniature, you can paint a miniature, and then you can also play a bit of the game.
Okay.
Which is great, and then at the end they'll sort of say, look, this is all the things you've just played with, they're all in this one handy dandy box.
This will cost you a mortgage.
Do you want to get 200 quid out of your wallet?
Yeah. I mean, if you're brave, and genuinely,
it's a great jumping off point.
It is a good jumping off point. If you're brave enough to then go, you're all right, thank, and leave, and then go to your local hobby shop, and you can
potentially find that same box for 30, 40 quid cheaper.
But if you want to try it out and you are comfortable, because some people just won't be comfortable just going, thank you, but I don't want to spend it, that's fair enough. But actually it is a good, because if I'd forgotten they let you, well, I don't know if I knew they let you paint. Yeah. And it helps you learn to paint or try
You have to book in for that.
Okay.
You have to book in for learning to paint, but you can come in and go, I want an introduction. I don't know anything about this. Yeah, and they'll take you for a bit of a game and help you build a mini and stuff like that. Nice. Which is great. It's a fantastic service.
Yeah.
And it's worth doing. But they know who you are, so you can't go in like every week and be like, can I build a mini and play a game?
They all
you were in last week.
Okay. So actually, within your Christmas shopping, if you need a break and Starbucks or Costa are full, but you want to try something out that's different and change.
If you've got a local GW in your town centre or whatever, go and pop in and say hello.
Yeah, I was in Cambridge last weekend and walked past there. Didn't know they had one. I didn't look for it. I just stumbled across it and went, oh! And then walked past it at breakfast time, clearly dead and empty. Walked past it in the middle of the afternoon, it's heaving.
It's shocking how busy the place gets.
And interestingly, their Warhammer isn't anywhere near the high street.
No. Well, people will travel
and it was still
for it.
heaving.
Yeah, people will travel for it, wouldn't they? So, but yeah, I mean, if you're looking to start, like something you definitely want. I mean, that's the biggest thing with it is once you've decided that this is what I want to get into.
Yeah.
You pick your game system, whether that's 40k, Sigmar, Fantasy, and then you're looking to get your first box of miniatures.
Yeah.
So the easiest way I can sort of say as an in for that, if you want to play smaller things and you're a bit dabbling, you're a bit on the edge, Kill Team is a fantastic way to start.
You bought me for my birthday.
Yeah, and it's it's a subtle nudge towards the edge of the cliff.
Come and play with us, Tommy.
Before
Danny,
you fall into the abyss and buy miniatures for the rest of your days. But it's 10 models. It's a self-contained thing. Each model is incredibly different from the last one when you put them together, or you can put them all together as the same thing and use them as a flat unit in the bigger game. But it translates, and that's where it's the easy in, is because you've already got a squad.
Yeah.
Of
so it's literally a squad that on the big game you can put on the table and use.
Yeah. But you can still play this smaller microcosm of a game, which is 10 men versus 10 men, 10 ladies versus 10 ladies, 10 creatures versus 10 creatures, whatever it is. And you move them all individually. So I'll move a guy, you'll move a guy, and so on and so And
which is different to the main game, because in the main game you move your entire army.
You shoot your entire army, you charge your entire army, you fight your entire army, and then your opponent does the same thing back
Whereas
to you.
this is move, you, me, me. Yeah.
So it's a bit more of a dance.
Yeah.
It's a really good system. Just got a new edition coming out in the new year, which will mean that they're bringing out new boxes of kill teams for basically every faction in the game.
Yeah.
So if you really like it and you pick up one, say for example Space Marines is the easiest one to look at, you really like Space Marines and you buy the Space Marine box for this year, well next year in a couple of months time there'll be a new box, so you can be like, oh, okay cool, I'll pick up that one as well, and then you've got 2 units of an army, and they'll be different, which is quite handy. But then the next logical step into getting into it is then to look at the combat patrols.
Okay, so pause just for a second.
Sure.
So for folk listening at home, I've got a question. How much for the kill team box that you got?
Kill team box, if you buy it in GW, I think they're around £35 to £40 a box. However, going to a local hobby shop, you can probably find one for 27.
And now I don't know if to those listening at home where that sounds a lot, but actually you've got 10 minis in there, and if you buy an individual D&D mini from a local game shop, that's £3 or £4. So it's standard. I mean,
it's a pretty
whether you think
standard
£3 or £4 is expensive for a mini is another question.
Sure.
But actually 10 in the box for the same price.
But I think the way to look at it as well is it's a time investment. Yeah. So like I've been guilty of this in the past where I've bought like computer games or video games. Computer games sound old. Video games, and paid them for 45 minutes and gone.
Not for me.
Yeah, but I can't get money back now. It's a digital thing or whatever. Like Diablo 4. Oh my god, I bought Diablo 4 when it came out.
Yeah.
And I played it. I paid £70 for new Diablo because I loved Diablo 2 back in the day. Played it for about 3 hours and it's sat uninstalled on my PlayStation ever since. And it's like, oh
yeah.
But this is the thing, like with a box of miniatures, the time you spend building them, painting them, and then playing with them, you're gonna get your time over money worth out of that.
Yeah,
completely. Like for example, the time it took me to build my wagon for my orcs was a whole day.
Okay,
and that's just building it. So that's hours
with a cup of
hours
coffee
per
and music
pound.
on in the background, podcast on in the background.
Exactly. You're just cutting bits of plastic out and chiseling them down and filing all the bits off and sticking them together. Lovely, great, satisfied. And then painting it, that's another like 3 days over time. I'm not sitting there doing nothing else but painting, but and then playing with it, it's in every game I've played. So for that £60 it was for that tank, got your money's worth out of it for
the
sure.
Investment, absolutely.
So that's the kind of a way to justify it to yourself.
No, well, as I said, it wasn't until it's like actually you've got a whole squad. You could use it in the main game if you choose to go that way. With my sisters, they hold bases.
Yeah, they're not. They're not going to set the world on fire.
But and an obvious thing to say, if it wasn't obvious, was you need 2 kill teams to play.
Yeah.
So the box, your friend would need to also go out and spend £40 if you come home with a £40.
And they
box.
do for every edition that comes out, they do like a 2 kill teams and a bunch of terrain and the rules in one box.
Okay.
But it's a bit more expensive. So. Yeah. But that's the way me and Jace started it was that we went halves. Because he wanted one of them, the other one was orcs. So I was like, okay, great, I'll take the orcs, you take that, and he's got the terrain. And
so for Christmas shopping, make sure you either get the double up box, as in the 2 armies.
Pair up with a buddy.
If you don't, and you like a particular army, they don't come in one of those double up boxes, as it were. Just be aware that someone else is going to need to go shopping. Not a bad thing, just to hate people.
Also, people are much more likely to want to play games like Kill Team in a local hobby shop rather than a full game. Not that people don't want to play a full game, people love it, but like if you were to come in and say, I want to play Kill Team, someone would be like, I've got a couple hours spare, because they're quick.
Yeah,
they're quick games, they're not going to take the whole day.
Yeah.
And you can just go, sure, let's go.
Another advantage is trying it out so you're not, because a full game of Warhammer will take a lot. I think a full game of any wargaming, I bought years and years and years ago, I can't even remember what it's called. It was basically the Star Wars space battles.
Oh yeah, or X-Wing or whatever.
There you go.
Yeah. They've discontinued that now. Do you know that?
I had Falcon, I had this, and I had that, and it was tape measures and very, very similar to Warhammer in the sense of measuring and shooting, blah blah blah, area of effect. But yeah, if the investment was like, this is great, but if you need someone to play it with, you need to stand there. So if you can get to a game shop and try it out.
Yeah. Absolutely. But so the next logical step of that is then to look into combat patrol. And combat patrol is basically half an army in one box. It's about £80, I think.
It varies.
£80 to £100.
And I remember from my combat patrol, it varies from army to army.
Yeah.
How many minis that gives you, and it's not because you're being conned.
No,
it's because the minis are worth different points on the table value in terms of cost.
Sure. So if you're buying like a super elite army, like the Adeptus Custodes, for example, you're going to get like 10 guys in that combat patrol.
Whereas the orcs got
the latest one for orcs, you got like 30 boys and like 4 squigs.
Going to cost you the same amount of money,
so
don't be surprised. But if you particularly want that army that's only got 10 people in it, it's on the box, so
and
you know what you're getting.
Self-contained things, so they are. You can play a game mode of 40k. It's not my recommended jumping in point, and I'll get into that in a minute. But you can play combat patrol versus combat patrol, and it's got its own set of rules, which will teach you the basics of the main game. And they do the same thing for the fantasy one. They do the same thing for Age of Sigmar, which is they're called spearheads.
Yeah.
And it's the equivalent of it. And also they have a kill team equivalent for Sigmar called Warcry.
Okay.
Where it's up to 10 things. I think my friend is looking into the Wood Elf one.
Okay.
And it's like 3 dudes. They're like half tree. But it's that sort of thing. So that's a good jumping in point, but then I wouldn't recommend playing Combat Patrol for very long, only because it sort of half teaches you the rules.
Okay.
Because the way it's done is they try to balance it by sort of cutting back on all the special abilities and things of different units in the game. So, for example, units in the game might sound like a bit of a weird way of phrasing it, but 10 orcs is a unit of orcs. 3 Squighog boys is a unit.
What's a Squighog boy?
It's a Squighog boy is a orc and a grot or a goblin riding on the back of a squig that kind of looks like a pig.
There you go. So for context, the Squighog boy is a soldier that's mounted in effect. What they're mounted on is irrelevant on one level.
Another subspecies of orc.
There you go.
That's a different thing.
I mean, it's important, but in terms of it's like having a knight on a horse.
Yeah.
Or your regular pawn on a chessboard.
Exactly. But they all of these characters and all of these units and all of these different things have different like special abilities in addition to their base stat lines.
Yeah.
All right. So everything's got strength, toughness, a wound count, how far they can move, how like brave they are in combat, and things like that, and how much objective control they have. They also then have melee weapons and range weapons and things, and that's all your baseline stats. Combat Patrol is really good for teaching you those aspects of it. What it lets itself down with is because it's tried to balance everything, it strips back on the abilities of a lot of the units in the game. So when you come to play, you've been playing Combat Patrol for 3 or 4 months, and you've got enough minis now off the back of it to build a full 1,000-point army and play the game proper. But when you get into that 1,000-point game proper, if you've only played Combat Patrol, chances are you'll go, oh, I didn't know my units could do that. Because they can. That will win or lose you games. Because it's been, in the full game, it's what everyone can do, and it's a lot more sort of meaty, because they don't need to balance it for smaller microcosm games. So therefore, you're going to run into, I didn't know
I didn't know this happened. But that said, and you're right, because if you then go on to the full game, it's meant to be a stepping stone. Because if you hate playing Warhammer and you discover you've only spent 80 quid or spent 40 quid,
you've not, hopefully that's not going to cost you the roof.
Because to get to 1,000 points worth of army, if you go from no models at all to 1,000 points worth, it's going to cost you roughly...
It depends, but you're looking at probably about 150 quid or so. A minimum, I'd say. Because if you just want to grab... Because you could effectively grab like just 10 boxes, the cheapest thing.
But what's the cheapest box?
Well, it depends on the army, doesn't it?
So, and there you go. So it's
for example, with the orcs, you could buy like 10 boxes of Gretchen. Gretchen aren't going to do anything on the table.
But you've got 1,000 points.
But you've got 1,000 points, which is probably don't, because each box of Gretchen is 40 points. You need at least 18 boxes of Gretchen. But there's also rules around what you can run and things, so you can only run a certain amount.
So the bonus is it helps you learn in stages and build anything you buy in Kill Team and Combat Patrol. You can use in the full game.
Yeah,
but How you use them is a different question, but you can use them. But then financially, you're not breaking your bank if you want. Equally.
And there's a permanence thing to it as well, because once you've got them, you've got them.
Yeah.
You know, once you've built and painted that combat patrol or whatever it is, you've got it. And even if they change what the combat patrol is, because every edition of the game they bring out new combat patrols for everything. So when I first got into Orcs and 40k, the combat patrol was like 20 boys, 3 helicopters, a boss, and like a dreadnought thing. Now the newest combat patrol is 30 boys and 4 Squidcog boys, so it's a different box. But the rules on the app and the rules for the older ones is still there, so you can still go back and play the old combat patrol. You're not like, okay, well, those are worthless now. In fact, due to certain points changes and things, and I'll use Orcs as an example, that older combat patrol is more valuable than the newer one because you've got rarer models in there, and things like that. So don't feel like, they're only going to change it in 3 months. Or you go into a Games Workshop and say, all right, I really like this army. And they go, okay, well, this is the current combat patrol out for this army. But their codex is the next one to come out. So they'll get a new one when the edition of their codex releases. There's nothing stopping you from buying that old one. And then if you get the new one, when that comes out in a few months' time or whatever, put them 2 combat patrols together, you've got 900 out of 1,000 points.
Yeah.
Potentially, or even over, so
it makes sense if you want to try it out. And I don't know, you may know more than me, with other non-40k, because the Star Wars game that's out, if 40k isn't your jam in terms of the universe,
I'm not entirely sure. I think Star Wars, there's a couple of games out for Star Wars miniature related. There's Legion,
and there's Fallout,
Shatterpoint,
and there's the Fallout franchise have done their own game, and it will work. I think, I've seen the one from Mutant Year Zero where their version of a combat patrol. Yeah. So everything's in the box you need to get going, including the 2 armies. This is a 2 armies version.
Yeah.
And it's their version 2 armies of Kill Team. So if 40k universe is great as a lore and universe, but if that isn't your thing, but you do like Fallout or you do like Star Wars, there are stepping stones to try different.
Or Marvel, there's a Marvel one now as well. Like superhero teams, you do like to build your own superhero team.
That. No.
Yeah, it's Crisis Protocol.
Oh yes, no, that's okay. My brain is now. What you mean?
But I think with those ones, especially Fallout and Star Wars Shatterpoint, is that they're not full army games. They are like squads, like Kill Team. So you'll have I think with Fallout, you have you could be Brotherhood of Steel, and you could have 3 men in power armor. Whereas if you play Raiders, you could be 15 Raiders. Yeah, because you're just running around in biker levers with a baseball bat.
Yeah. So similar to the I understand what you mean.
Whereas Shatterpoint for Star Wars, you will usually have like a main character and then like a couple. So you'd be like Darth Vader, for example. Okay. And you'll have like 2 stormtroopers with him, and that would be the squad because it's Darth Vader. Or you could be like Jango Fett with a bunch of sort of bounty hunter vagabonds that hang out with him, sort of thing, and you play against smaller teams like that. See what I mean?
Nice. So, if regardless of the franchise, go to your local game shop.
Yeah.
Because actually, if it's on the shelf, they can tell you about it. Yep. So if you're not, you see our local game shop, or both the 2 that are local to where we live, Warhammer heavy, and that's not a bad thing. But they also, the one that's a bit further away from us is also got Star Wars on the shelf, and they've got Age of Sigmar on the shelf, and they've
Game of Thrones, and
so if it's on the shelf, you can ask them about it because they will know, not just because they want to sell it to you, but because geek game shops tend to know, and they're very friendly people.
Yeah, I love it.
And I remember my first experience of walking into a Warhammer shop, it did feel like it was a local pub for local people, and I shouldn't go in. And that was me and my hang-up. But they are very lovely people, so if you want to go and ask some questions, go and ask, and they can see you in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. You'll also find as well that if you want something, like I do it now, if you want something to complete an army or something like that, and they don't have it in your local game shop, the local game shop are more than happy to order it in for you. You might be waiting a week or 2, but if it's not a Christmas present for someone and it's just a personal investment or whatever, do that.
No, I absolutely. Our local game shop, I was really interested to play the Hellboy role-playing game, which is based on 5th edition, and they weren't going to sell it. They weren't going to. My particular shop hadn't got anywhere near it. In fact, when I went in and asked them, they went, "Is that?" And they went and did the research on the computer while I stood there. And went, "Oh yes, it's by X. Do you know the company?" Publisher. They found it, and they stocked it, and because I asked them to. I bought it off them and they sold their other copy.
Oh, good.
So they're willing to. It clearly does them a favour because there's going to be a market, even if it's not. They haven't thought of it or they didn't think there was a big enough market. They sold out that book.
Yeah.
So there's enough geeks, even if they only bought 5 copies. There were 5 geeks that went, "I like Hellboy, give it a go."
Yeah.
And so they have been very friendly, and they tend to just want to go, "Yes, of course we will."
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're not going to be the only one that wants that army or wants that book.
No, of course not. Of course not.
Nice.
So that's what I would rate. If you're looking to get into tabletop wargaming, and that's where I'd sort of say it's worth mentioning as well that around Christmas time as well, GW also do these massive boxes. They're called Christmas Battle Forces. They're about 170 odd quid or so, and they are like big portions of an army. Don't jump in with that. Okay. If you're brand new to it, don't, because it's very like specialised stuff that is value for money if you are already collecting that army, because a lot of it is like rare things that aren't easy to get hold of. They will be discounted than buying them all individually. So you might be 170 quid, but it's 300 quid worth of plastic in that box.
But if you don't like the game, having spent 170 quid, you're like, I've spent.
And you've not got a full army in there. You've also you can't.
So they must be making them for not newbies.
No, they're making them for people who like people who have already got an existing army and go, I've really wanted a shard of the Void Dragon,
and it will look very shiny on the shelf in the big box, and it does, yes. And under the tree,
usually a lot of the time they're not in the shop because they're so popular. They sell out online before, and you have to be up. It's one of those things where
you have to have a midnight or
it's like a Ticketmaster type thing. You know, if you want tickets to Taylor Swift, you've got to be refreshing that browser every 5 seconds.
Comparing Taylor Swift to
well, you know, what I
mean? I know, and you're not wrong.
I'm not
That's
wrong.
What
People
I
like, right, and because it comes out, if you follow like the Warhammer community online pages and things like that, it will be like, right, Christmas Battle Forces go live at 10 a.m. tomorrow. We had it in our Discord for the local gaming shop. They were like, right, it goes live tomorrow at 10 a.m. Get your orders in now, and I'll make sure I'm up clicking, and I'll buy them in bulk because obviously they get them to sell on, sort of thing. So, yeah,
it was a good tip. That is genuinely worth it. Don't be shy, even if your kid says to you, "I really want the big box full of all the big." If they've never played it before, it may look like an investment, but knowing that it's not an entire army anyway.
No.
And if you don't know, and you're just a random parent that is going into a shop because your kid wants that big box, don't. It's not, fine.
I mean, if the kid's done their research and they're like, well, I've already got this and this, Mum, I just want that to finish out the list, then go for it. You know what I mean, or whatever. So, that could be exactly what they want, but each into one's own. But I would suggest looking into smaller boxes and things first.
Build it
up slowly.
Because
also you get hobby fatigue as well, and hobby fatigue is a real thing. If you go in, and this is one of the reasons that people. I've done it. I've been guilty of this. If you go in and you buy a full army in one go, or over a very short period of time, and then you bring it all home and you're really excited, and then you look at you've got 15 boxes full of plastic you need to put together and paint.
We're going to paint Green Adams.
Oh God, it's going to be forever. I can't do this. And you sit down and you go, right, it's taken me 3 hours to paint one basic infantry man. And I've got 50 of these to go.
But
through.
If you buy
4 tanks,
if you buy a kill team, 10 models, and you get through those 10 models, even if it's one model a week, and it's all you can manage in your diary, in your life, real life, kids, whatever is going on in your world, work, dog walking, whatever. If it's one a week and you see the progress on the table, then it's like, okay.
And it makes all the difference, and we've said it in previous episodes and things like that. Having a painted army on the table, it's a really lovely feeling.
The last time I haven't played in ages, obviously, but the first time I play you with your army painted and mine not. And we've been playing with no painted army.
Yeah, we were both grey.
And then you brought yours in, and I wasn't at all ashamed of mine, but yours just popped on the table. There was a vibe to it that it was like, this is cool, because actually the detail and the colour, and it just stood out against the battle map.
And it's yours, it's your personal stamp on it, and that I think that's a really important factor of it, is that having your own personal, there might be Ultramarines, which is the box art for Space Marines, but they're yours. Yeah. You painted
them. No, and I have very much, even though I haven't played for ages, Penitent Ken, who is my...
he's gorgeous.
Penitent Engine. He is my favourite, and he's not the most powerful character by any stretch of the imagination. But he was one of the ones I'm most proud of painting. It's the first engine I've painted. But he feels like he's mine. And because I dubbed him Penitent Ken, and he's always running through
a little story.
Yeah, he's got my little, because I will come to story in a minute. It's got the little story, and he's always apologetic. I'm really sorry, I've got to do this. You smash as he cuts you to pieces. I'm really sorry, I didn't see you there. As he slices your head off. Did I tread on you? Whoops.
I'm sorry, I don't know the button for the flamethrower.
Oh, I do apparently. But yeah, there is something about it being on the table going, look, it's finished, and it's there, and there he is. And actually, yeah,
it's satisfying. It really is, and it makes all the difference. And there's nothing stopping you from going in and building a whole lot of them, and then just chucking a load of grey plastic on the table. People do it all the time, and don't feel ashamed of doing that. But when you finally manage to get a full painted army and you pop it down, and I could lose every game, but look how glorious they are. It's a real thing. And that's part of the investment of the hobby.
Amazing.
Yeah,
we like. So the other take on what people might want to do at Christmas is role-playing games and where to start, because you could start in so many different places. But very similar to what Adam was saying about starting small and building up. And it's kind of the way I did it. I've looked at different role-playing games that you could try for not a lot of money, and in fact, frankly, nearly free. In
a lot of them PDFs online,
absolutely,
one-page rule sets.
And things I've tried and things I've played. And in fact, some of the journey I took as I started learning to play role-playing, it doesn't start with Dungeons and Dragons, but ones that are worth hooking up, either PDFs or even the books aren't expensive, and where you could start. In my brain, there are reasons to figure out, and stepping stones to figure out whether you actually like the role-playing bit, whether you understand the mechanics of the rules bit, and how to blur the two in terms of time. So I've got a bunch of suggested books you could try, or suggested games you could try that aren't cheap. You go, I've tried this one and this works, and I can explain what they do in terms of why they might work as good. Put your feet in the water, see if it's worth trying.
Yeah.
So
without having spent 90 quid
silly
on
money,
loads of tomes of books. And
the first one I would recommend is not the first game I played, the role-playing game, because the first one I did play was D&D, but I discovered a game called Fiasco, which my sister introduced me to. And it's like, literally, I looked this morning, you can buy them, it's been out a while, you can buy the physical book for 15 quid if you like to gather dust on the shelf. I like both. I like to have them on the shelf, flick through. I also, PDF.
It's very pretty.
If you're playing with friends, I play a lot online with, mentioned the Australian crew, clearly can't play around the table with them. So having the PDFs to share with them for the rules and be able to access on the monitor when you're playing, very helpful. PDF of this was a tenner, nothing. And it's very much meant to be, it's called Fiasco, it's a Coen Brothers-esque story caper where it's split into 2 acts and an aftermath.
Okay.
And all you're doing, and this is broken into scenes, which is important because some people, it's helping you learn to roleplay. You can switch the roleplay on and then switch it off. So at the end of this scene, everyone goes, and cut. It's literally
like, cool. I like that.
And then you can discuss how it went. And it tends to be, you've got a bunch of tables in the one book, and again, it's only one book. You don't have to have lots of things. So you roll to figure out where you are, who you are, how you know each other. And if you need help, there are the tables to roll with.
Is this a game that has a GM, like a game master? So it's like a joint thing. That's clever, because I think that can be one of the barriers of getting into things like role play as well. I think
having someone who's willing to learn it and willing to run it. And I haven't played it in years. And I reread the PDF this morning, and I remembered it. And it's that quick. So you learn, you roll all these things, figure out. So the one I've seen played, I played one that's very much kind of the thing, like John Carpenter's The Thing. You're out on an Arctic expedition. The one I've seen played online was like a 1970s. There was a gangster in a club, and that's cool. And it was like, okay, so the setting can vary, and it's got 7. They're called play sets. They're not campaigns. It's basically your play sets, your toys to play with in this ridiculous saga.
Yeah.
So there's a play set that's like Mafia. There's a play set that's like the Arctic. There's a play set, and the tables are all related to that theme.
That's cool.
And
I like the sound of this.
It plays in one night.
Yeah.
And after you figure out how you know each other before you get going, you figure out what your character's trying to achieve. So it could be as simple as the Mafia boss needs to die because he screwed you over, and you want to take his place. That's your goal for the entire game. That's what you're trying to achieve. You watch a scene play out between 2 or 3 characters. The others are watching; they don't have to be involved.
Yeah.
And then you give each other dice. So if you and I were playing, and I was setting up the scene, because it's literally like scenes in a play or scenes in a film.
Yeah.
I set up the scene, you watching me, if I'm playing with a third player and you're observing, you decide where it's going to end, depending on how well we role play and how well it goes. You decide if it's going to end well for me or badly for me, and you give me a certain coloured dice. Doesn't matter what, as long as we know. They say black and white in the game.
Yeah. You
it's
establish whatever colour you want to.
And then you do, after the end of the act, there's 2 acts, and you use those dice to use the tilt table, which is a variety. It sounds more complicated. It is you basically figure out the complication in the middle of the story ending. So, after there's a sudden death, someone comes to help you, blah 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 blah. Then you repeat the process with Act 2, and then there's a chaos as you tie up the loose ends. So, that to me, as I said it to you, sounds more complicated, but it really is. But as you play it, you learn how to role play, but in safe spaces where you press go and you press stop.
And it's improvisation as well, which is
teaches
a huge
you
part of learning how to tabletop role play.
Some of the stuff in it, like the tilt, where was it? I wrote a list of stuff down here. Like the valuable items within, I looked at one of them. One of them was you can roll, and it's a table of stuff. One of them they just give you a dot. So if you can't think of a valuable item, one of the things on the tilt table is a valuable item table is a dog. But then you can improvise what kind of dog it is, where you picked it up, what breed it is, what's it called. So it just, if you're not sure, it gives you a nudge in the right direction. Then you discover you're improvising. And my dog's a Dachshund, and it's called Big Willie because he's giant, but he's not because he's the ironic name. And you just and it's good because it's one book. Everything's in that one book. It's one night. There's no one else to lead it for you. You spend the first 45 minutes of the evening setting it up together.
Yeah.
Then you play it for 2 hours, and then you go home, and you're done. And all of a sudden, you realise you've been role playing for 2 hours and you didn't make it. And it was like,
what a great jumping off point.
And it was really interesting. And I played with a guy who we played, and he wasn't very confident, and he's never come back to role play. So equally,
but it's a good taste tester, isn't it? You go, yeah, okay, I don't like this, or I do like this, and then there's more to explore if you do like it. And
I think I've got the first edition. The second edition is out now, and again, I looked on my local game store, and it was 15 quid.
Yeah.
PDF was a tenner. Another jumping off point, as Adam mentioned, was one sheet games. There's a great one called Honey Heist, which is literally the instructions on one sheet of A4 paper.
Yeah.
It does
one-page rules.
One-page rules. It does require a GM. It says one-page rules for the players, one-page rules for the GM.
Yeah.
And Honey Heist is a classic version written by Grant Howlett, where you play as bears who are trying to do a heist.
Trying to get some honey.
You, again, tables if you need help to figure out where it is, as in where the story is, what's going on, who the villain is. It's all in tables you can roll.
Yeah.
It's a even more basic system you're rolling. You've got 2 stats you roll for. You roll for bear and you roll for criminal, and that's it.
Okay, cool.
And you start with 3 points in each.
So you could be a panda who is the safe panda.
Yeah. And depending on what hat you wear, that's what kind of bear you wear. And if you can bring a hat to the table, you get bonus points.
Love it.
And you will read the roll. So if something you particularly want to do, brawl with someone, climb a tree, whatever it is, it's more bear-like, then you roll for bear. If it's criminal, anything that's nothing bear-related, it's criminal.
Yeah, you want to hack into a computer system.
And you have to roll above or below your bear or criminal stat. That's it, on 1d6.
Oh, okay.
So you start with 3 points, and then if you fail, you edge closer to the one you weren't trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to be a bear and you fail, you end up being more criminal, and vice versa.
Right.
If you get to the end of the D, if you get to 6 or 7 on either of those, or 1 or 0, you end up becoming either so bear-like that you're picked up by the park rangers and they take you away, or criminal.
You get sent to jail.
Criminal, you basically shaft your party, and you end up as a proper criminal.
Right.
It's absolutely lightweight,
That's
fun,
brilliant.
stupid, and you can improvise the hell out of it there.
Yeah.
And it was just very simple. It teaches you very basic dice mechanics.
And
improv again.
And a lovely thing about that is because it's, I don't know, I would find it, and this is different for everybody, but I would find it a lot easier if I'd never role played before, role playing with a bunch of people who are all pretending to be bears, rather than trying to be like a serious character that you've created backstory.
The particular
for
one, which I love, they give you the list of different bears you can be.
Yeah.
And you roll for the bear. And one of them's a honey badger who knows he's not a bear, but does he? Because he thinks he's a bear.
Yeah.
Because it's farcical, it's that level, so he's
Sure.
really vicious.
So it's real light-hearted stuff.
Yeah. And just
that would be a good one for like family Christmas stuff. like for sure.
And again, I mean, I found the PDF for free online, but actually, if you want to do the guy a favour, he writes a lot of different stuff. It's actually, if you go to the official website, it's you choose how much you pay.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
And it says recommends £1. So we're clearly set in England, so it sets it to £1 minimum. And it's just 2 sides of A4. It's just to help them develop what they want to do.
You can see what interest is there, and
so
a lovely
it's
system.
really interesting. The same guy, if you want to develop that further, I've just finished a 4-session campaign of Eat the Reich, which was written by him. I mentioned it last week.
Oh, the same guy wrote Honey
Yeah.
Heist. Oh, cool. Yeah,
And it's
no,
a
you have
bigger-
told me that.
It's
Yeah, you have
one.
told me
It's
that.
one book.
Yeah.
It's again simpler rules, and you clearly take this with a pinch of salt. As in, if it offends you, don't play it. Goes without saying. This is alternative universe, 1940s Paris, where you're allied vampires killing Nazis. So you know what you're getting into before you open the book. If that's going to genuinely upset you, don't play it.
Yep.
But if you want to kill some Nazis because they were Nazis, then this might be the game for you. It builds on those rules of D6s. It builds on everything from Honey Heist and makes it more. Again, it is.
If you're not bothered by the subject matter, or if you're even intrigued by the subject matter, it's the next logical step from Honey Heist, isn't it? Really.
And it's back. And again, it's all in one book.
Yeah.
So you don't have to, like with D&D, you have to get the Dungeon Master's Guide.
You need 3 books for the effectively run D&D.
And again, this Eat the Right in book form, physical form, is £25 max on Amazon.
And it's a lovely book, isn't it? Show me some of the art in it.
And the
things.
PDF,
Lovely.
it's again like you can get a PDF on its own. In fact, if you buy the book from the company directly, you get a free PDF with it.
Oh, cool. Which you
Same
can
book.
share to your friend who's
Share to
if
your
they're
friends.
playing it
So
online or
again,
whatever.
the stats and everything for how it works, it's very much, here are the villains. These villains are in this room. Off you go. You've got to, in this, it's like you've got to achieve a goal before and then move on. Achieve a goal, move on. The villains will always come after you.
Yeah.
So you have to keep them at bay while you achieve said goal. It's all just very simple. Again, silly and light-hearted.
Yeah.
In terms
Slightly
of
darker.
It's darker, but it's also vampires that tear people's heads off.
Yeah.
And it's again, it's a step up and it's a twist in tone.
But I imagine there'd be nothing stopping you from playing, like, one of you wanted to be the Count from Sesame Street.
Yeah.
Then you could do that.
you can
As a
absolutely
vampire.
improvise the hell out of how
Or
one
if
of
you
them
wanted
is
to be a sparkly vampire like Twilight. Or something,
one of the
you
one
could
we
do that.
played it. There's one that looks literally like a bat. So it's Hobbit size, looks like a bat. And the way that my friend Esther played it was she shrank down to bat size to fly. She didn't need to, but she chose, and I said fine because you can make this up as you go along.
Yeah. It's
But
improv.
we made it silly so that everything about her shrunk down apart from her lips. So she was this bat with this massive fucking lips. It was just, and so then she smooched someone, and then equally when she became human again, her lips became big again. Her lips became tiny because it was stupid.
Yeah. Why not? Why not?
So it's all about having fun on a quick. And again, they say in that one, don't do it. You travel through Paris, and your end goal is to get to the Eiffel Tower where Hitler's waiting for you, and you have to deal with Hitler himself. They say run it in 2 or 3 sessions, and they're talking like 2 hours each. So not like a full D&D
you could
session.
effectively run it as like a day.
Yeah.
You get the whole thing done in one day.
You could absolutely, with a break between acts, as it
Yeah.
were, if you want to break it down into acts, have a coffee break, then have a dinner break, and then go back, or just keep going if you wanted to. They say in the book they wouldn't because they don't want you to get tired.
Yeah.
But so yeah, another one again, not cheap. A very quick shout out before we get to the meat of the burger to the Morkborg Cyborg Pirate Borg books.
Yeah.
Which again, all one books.
Yep.
Morkborg is think fantasy, dark fantasy. Cyborg is cyberpunk. Pirate Borg answers on the
Easiest way to describe Morkborg is the artwork in that book is basically every heavy metal album cover you've ever seen. It's like jagged, scorched writing. It's a dungeon crawl thing, isn't it? It's very 70s flavoured.
They've got a mini campaign. You can write your own really easily. They've got a mini campaign at the back, and they've got stats for everything, which includes, if you're not sure, like any improvised weapon. So the first weapon you open the book in is a femur. And you do 1d4's worth of damage. So you're rolling the classic D&D dice. There's also statistics for if you come across an NPC, how they're going to react to you. So you roll 2d6. The lower the number, the worse their reaction, the higher the number, they're going to be nice to you. If you're not sure how they're going to be, and you literally want to let the dice decide everything rather than improvising from a GM perspective, again, you do need a GM. If you want to decide as a table, let's see how they're going to react to me. And then GM can take on the aggression or the happiness of this character in me. But it's all about the dice rolls. And you can throw some of these stats. In fact, the Pirate Ball book says you can lift this and use it in D&D. These stats for this weapon, this stats for this person. And they're close enough to jazz that you get.
Okay. That's clever. I didn't know there was a translation in it.
I'm trying to think how much it costs. They're 20, 25 actually.
Yeah, I think they're about 20 quid.
So it's not, again, and it's all, again, one book.
One
You'll see a common theme here, because then again, you're not breaking the mould. Then you get to 5e. When I say 5e, we know D&D, they've just released D&D 2024, which in effect is 5.5.
Yeah, 5.5.
At some point, they'll release a starter set. The starter set for these are worth it. What's interesting is you will find, and my last point in my little notes is some starter sets for different systems. Inside it, you'll get the rules, a slimmed down version of the rules, and maybe a mini campaign, and character sheets and dice. Sometimes the mini rules will say reference this in the core rule book.
You'll need the cool rule book in addition to that, and
which isn't very helpful because so you either have to go in knowing that if you're not sure what it says because it wants you to refer to the core rule book you don't own, just be confident enough to make it up. And then if you find you enjoy the game, go and buy the core rule book at the end of the day. The difference with the 5th edition core starter kits is they don't tend to do that. They tend to have enough in there that you don't need to have the core rule books. There are 2 versions out. They're both under 25 quid. One is the starter set, and one is the essentials kit, and they're both for the 5th edition. The starter set has everything in it done for you, so you don't have to build characters.
Pre-generated characters.
Everything's pre-gened on purpose, so you're learning how to play the game, not how to build the characters and build the game. The essentials kit teaches you how to build characters and teaches you how to build the game, and the essentials kit also has NPCs, so in theory, it can be run for one player.
Yeah, you've got the what they call sidekicks.
Yeah, and it's way so. We had it in an episode back in the day where you can run a game for just one other person, and I know you stumble across NPCs, but it's a mechanic where you bring the NPC along with you for the entire game, and they've got their own stats that you roll, and they've got their own list that you roll, without you having to think too much. Because clearly a DM can make that for you. But yeah,
they're good jumping off points. This is how I started.
Yeah. It's an easy way, and the difference, because then if you like looking at 5th edition and you like D&D, because D&D, you're right, you need 3 core books. You need the Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, and the Monster Manual, which are about 40 quid a pop.
Yeah.
On average. So that's 120 quid. Or the starter set is 20 quid. And if you spent, very similar to the Wargaming, if you're spending 170 quid on the set that you don't actually enjoy, okay, why not just try it for 40 quid in that case, or 20 quid in this case, and then see if you like it. D&D, it depends how you play it. Clearly, you tend to role play throughout the process, whereas something like I said at the beginning, with Fiasco, it's very much, here's the scene cut. I know Tales from the Loop, which is made by Free League, it's meant to be scenes again.
Yeah.
So you don't have to improvise going to the shop.
Same with Call of Cthulhu. It's a scenario-based game.
So you don't have to stay in character the entire time. You just agree, right, we're starting the scene now, and off you crack, and then you pause. So that's the way you figure out whether you like it or not. And all of those suggestions from a gaming point of view are under 25 quid. So actually, not going to break the bank if someone doesn't like it. And the 5e starter sets comes with the dice you need as well. Comes with all the paperwork you need as well in the box.
Yeah, you've got your pre-gen character sheets, you've got a couple of blank ones in there. Tip for blank character sheets.
Yeah.
Keep one that's blank and then photocopy it.
And then off the back of that, if you really like that and you're interested, D&D have their own website called D&D Beyond, which is where you can get their digital content. And in the starter set, originally came the Lost Mines of Fandalvir, which is a campaign where you go into these mines and you go on an adventure. That's now free to download the entire campaign digitally from them.
Yeah.
So if you do want to have a look at that adventure.
So effectively, what you could also do is you could skip buying the starter set altogether, get yourself a character sheet off Google, print one out, photocopy it a couple of times for your friends, go on to D&D Beyond, get that adventure and get yourself some dice and just start going.
You could, and the basic rules are on there now for free as well. You're right. So if you're a digital boy and you learn. I learn in different ways. You're absolutely right. So I don't always. I like to be able to take a book away and read it.
Yeah. Oh no, and I like having them on the shelf and looking at them and things.
But if you're the kind of person that could learn off a PDF,
Yep.
the equivalent, sometimes I genuinely struggle with my brain. Then crack on, because a lot of the rules are free. The booklet it gives you isn't essentially just breaks it down into this is how you do this is how you do that. If you want to search on their website.
Likewise for wargaming, if you don't want to buy a core book or rule book for 40 quid or whatever, it's exactly the same as buying a Dungeon Master's guide. You can just go online and Google whatever rule you're after, or Google core rules and things. So they're all there.
So, if you want to throw minis around the table, or you want to throw dice around the table while you're looking at your friends,
this is where we start.
This is where we would start. It's a kick-off point. So Christmas shopping, nothing's going to break the bank.
But if you're listening to this and thinking of buying this stuff for a loved one, the best advice I can give you is ask them first. Don't just go, I bought you a starter set. Mum, I've been playing D&D for 40 years. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just have a chat.
And with the wargaming as well, there are so many armies to choose from. Like, I do not, from although I've stepped away from Warhammer, I still love the System of Battle, but I would never buy the vanilla that is Space Marines.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah.
So absolutely, if you can, you may want to do it as a Christmas holiday treat. Let's go to the game shop together, and you can pick the army you like.
Vouchers do. Local gaming shops, a lot of them have vouchers to buy as well.
But then I know that when I took my son to look at Warhammer stuff, he picked an army I would never have picked up for him. Not because it was a bad army or a good army, but he looked aesthetically at it, and it wasn't one I would pick for me, and I didn't know what he would pick, but it wasn't what I was expecting.
Drukari for those who are interested.
And he knew they weren't the best statistically at the time. They probably aren't still. And he knew that going in, but he loved the vibe.
Yeah.
He loved the vibe. He loved the pirate aspect of them. He loved the look. He loved the style. And I remember you said to him, "These, they might change the rules, but this is currently how it is." I was like, "Okay, but I like it." And he was going with someone and having that conversation.
People will surprise you.
Don't be throwing my books on the shelf, because I always will when I started. When I started with looking at, I looked at the books and went, "Oh."
Yeah, it's a bit of a minefield.
One page is a good start for 10. But it's like, roll this dice. That's all you have to do. One book means everything's in that book somewhere. If they only sell one book, it's somewhere. And don't be afraid to make the rules up.
Yeah.
If you can't find it, if everyone's happy and everyone's on the same page,
keep the game going. Yeah.
So,
excellent. Let's do
the bobbins.
Yeah, the bobbins.
Now, are you going to sing this week?
I'm not singing this week. I've decided what song I'm going to sing in the future. I know your face. I hadn't told you that, have I?
No. Allegedly.
Yearly episode. And you're going to sing it with me.
Do I know the words?
Yeah.
Do I know the song?
Yeah.
Do I really?
Yeah. We'll talk about it after we stop recording.
Oh.
What we start with, allegedly or
dealer's choice? Well, allegedly.
Go on.
You want to tell us your Christmas traditions?
Oh yeah, of course. So, one of the questions I wanted to ask you as well as we're looking into sort of a Christmas episode. What geeky Christmas traditions have you got? I'm sure we've mentioned it on previous episodes, but me and my wife, every Christmas Eve, we sit down, we have dinner, and then we watch Muppets Christmas Carol, and immediately follow that up with Silence of the Lambs. Every year.
Nice. Like back to back, toilet break in the middle, and off you go.
Yeah.
Crack.
Get a drink in or whatever, and watch Silence of the Lambs. And,
when did this start?
Since we've been together.
Why?
Her family do it all the time, so her mum and dad do it. Her sister
what is it
and her
about
husband
Silence of the Lambs that makes me think of Christmas or vice versa?
I don't know. But ever since we've been together, that's been there, and I'm so happy to adopt it. It's a bloody great film. I love it to bits. And Muppets Christmas Carol was also fantastic. I had to buy Muppets Christmas Carol on DVD for her last year on Blu-ray because it wasn't on
Disney Plus.
Well,
you don't need the song that Michael Caine sings with
No.
that woman.
But do you know how much it cost me? Like 40 quid to buy it on Blu-ray. I mean, we've got it now, but like it's like
Merry Christmas,
wow, that
Mrs.
was-
Bygrave White.
yeah, isn't it?
Yeah, that's not
So
necessary.
we've got them now, though. So, physical media, baby. That's what
It's
all
the way
about.
forward. It's my brain is heading that way back that way.
But yeah, that's our little Christmas tradition.
Nice.
So have you got a geeky Christmas tradition?
Our Christmas geeky tradition tends to be Muppet Christmas Carol.
Of course.
Of course it does. Somewhere our taste in movies in this house varies. So,
It doesn't have to be movies.
no, but some of it is movies. So, Die Hard.
Yep.
On Christmas Eve, often. Depending if my wife's in the mood, she'll either join in or not. Not because she's not a Christmassy person. She wants to watch more Christmas movies than I do. And for those of you who are saying Die Hard isn't a Christmas movie, shush, you're wrong. It is.
It is. Totally is.
I'm wondering. I've had this thought while you were talking. I own the Die Hard board game, which is amazing, and I've played it 2-3 times.
I didn't know there was a board game.
Yeah, came out a few years ago, and it's really very cleverly done. You follow the progress. There's 3 levels to it.
Right.
And you fold the board in different ways,
Yeah.
depending on the scene in the movie. And you go through the movie, and you end up having to throw hands off the roof.
Oh, that's cool.
It is genuinely one of the cleverest board games out there. We picked it up at a whim, and it was good fun. So that might be on my Christmas geeky list. My other Christmas geek thing I like to do, Black Christmas. You horror nerd, don't go for the new one. God, Black Christmas is a stalker film.
Right.
Horror stalker film, stars Margot Kidder, who played Lois Lane in Christopher Reeve's.
Okay.
A sorority girl house. Someone's in the house trying to kill them all.
Oh, okay. I think I've heard of that, actually.
It's they've remade it recently, really badly. If you go back to the 70s, when it was the 80s, when the Margot Kidder version came out, it's genuinely cool.
Okay.
It's just gloriously nonsense.
Because we've done Krampus.
Okay, I own it. I'll have to lend these.
Yeah, no, it's good. What, the Margot Kidder one?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I'll watch that for sure.
It's classic, and she's one of the sorority girls that live in this house.
Sure.
And they're slowly picked off,
getting stabbed up or whatever.
and no one believes them that something's happening because it's Christmas now.
Does sound familiar. I haven't seen it yet, but that Violent Night, that David Harbour.
That's on Netflix now, apparently,
Is it?
or something. It's now streamable. It's that I do want to see.
Yeah, I think we were talking about going to see it, and then we never got around to it.
So they are, traditions film-wise, traditions, geeky other traditions. Well, this year, following, and I was saying this before we went on there, following Sam making me
TikTok famous, Sam making me,
who explained to us on the episode. Go back and listen. That 10% code still works, by the way, folks.
Does it now?
So if you want to buy someone some mead for Christmas,
it's a fantastic Christmas
Boards
gift.
and
He's
beards.
just done a Christmas pear and pomegranate spice.
So if you
it's
Google,
delicious.
if you Google reminders of this website,
Arcane Alchemist.
there you go. Arcane Alchemist. If you find him, his mead is lush. I've sent 2 bottles to my sister. In fact, my sister bought 2 bottles for colleagues across Europe, which is cool. And use the code Boards and Beards, you get 10% off. But sidebar for the advert, when Sam came on, he talked about a game he played called Og.
Yes.
Where you play cavemen, and you only have 20 words or something to communicate your entire meaning throughout this adventure.
Yeah, you can only say things like fire, meat, dinosaur.
And when we played the episode, my family now want to play it. Now they've heard about it, so I found it. So a new tradition will be pretend to be a caveman. Kind of weird.
It's gonna be fun, though.
Yeah.
Interested to see how that goes.
I will let you know. So yeah, and there'll be games galore and pub. We always go to the pub on Christmas Eve.
Nice.
With our film nerdy friends. To while away when they finish work. If they finish work at lunch on Christmas Eve, we then bundle to the pub, and that's the way we say Merry Christmas Eve.
Mm-hmm. Well, a new Christmas tradition, I think, is Nosferatu's coming out this Christmas, isn't it?
1st of January.
If that's as good as I hope it's going to be, then that might be a new Christmas thing.
So yeah, allegedly we've got stuff we like to do at Christmas.
Yeah.
But
Hobbit Corner.
just waiting for Leonard.
Yeah, thanks, Leonard. Right, go on. What have you been doing?
Listening to Leonard. What have I been doing? This week we started, because you were.
I know, it's great.
Finally started Heart of Darkness, which is the 3rd part of the Alien RPG cinematic universe. So they're basically, if you know anything about the Alien RPG, you can do your own long form version of the game where, like, space truckers, not a lot happens, and that's not boring. It's just the universe, and you go and you investigate this and you do that. Well, there's a cinematic version of the game where there's actually their version of a campaign, but they shorten the sharpen their whatever. Our crew who have played that game, both Adam and I are in that. I played with a number of different people. We played the first 2, and I bought the 3rd one 18 months ago.
Oh wow, it's
2
been sat on
Christmases ago.
the shelf for nearly 2 years.
Is it? 2 years because I bought it last January,
Wow.
January 2022. I bought. This January will be 2 years ago. I bought.
Sure.
Whatever that means. Finally started playing.
It's really good.
Much more spooky, much more Lovecraftian kind of getting in the mindset of. It reminds me a lot from the tone and the vibe. Not spoiling it for Adam, but in terms of tone and the vibe, even of our first episode, it reminds me of Event Horizon, and it reminds me of those kind of existential dready type, not just beastie coming for you. And they've got new creatures in this, which one of them I introduced you to briefly.
Yeah. Well, that was the end of the episode.
End of the episode. People having bad dreams. It's going mental.
It's very
so that
cool.
was fun, and we're playing that. Which would be cool. I'm also every other week playing Blade Runner. So we had part.
So how
3.
much of Blade Runner is left?
Well, interestingly,
Because I thought it was going to be like a 1-2 session thing for you.
well, I knew it's going to be somewhere between 4 and 7 episodes.
Okay.
The difference is, and Kevin, this is where you have to press pause. Kevin should be writing is playing this game.
Right.
So for the sake of spoilers, Kevin, fast forward. No, really? Okay. No, what's interesting is they had their first evening of rest. After 3 shifts of work,
Yeah.
you have to have a 4th shift off, or you start gaining stress, which affects your rolls.
Sure.
Like you wouldn't realise.
No
you
exhaustion
already get
mechanic
bed.
in Dungeons and Dragons.
I then did a little bit, not to expand it, because it was part of the campaign as well, but I homebrewy, mix and match, a bit of homebrew and a bit of this. And the last session was them just going through their rest evening.
Mhm.
But the way they rolled was one of them got kidnapped and beaten up by the bad guys who were trying to tell him to back off the case.
Right. Restful.
And he didn't get any rest.
Yeah.
And the other one started questioning his existence and doesn't know if he's a Blade Runner or not.
Oh,
Sorry, doesn't
God,
know
okay.
doesn't know if he's a replicant.
Yeah.
Which is when you play this game, you're allowed to be a human, a replicant, or decide if you're not sure.
Right.
And it's down to the GM to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
They both wanted to not be sure.
Cool.
So I've made them paranoid in different ways.
Yeah.
So one got beaten up and taken away and said, back off this case. And the other one's having bad dreams and doesn't know what's real and what's not. And apparently his wife didn't. He had an evening off with his missus, then woke up the next day with a hangover, not sure, but there's no clothes in the house, the dog's missing. Doesn't look like anyone's ever lived here,
Yeah.
apart from him. It's like, but I had dinner with my wife last night. What the fuck?
Mm.
So then we're blowing back into the campaign. I reckon there's probably 2 sessions left of story.
Yeah.
Which could then evolve into another case.
Okay, so 2 more sessions of this one and then another case.
I'm
on top.
trying to wrap it up before Christmas.
Okay.
And then I bought the next case.
Oh, right, so that's another module. Another
And then
case.
I
another
chose
module.
to pick it up. And then there's a book coming out which I win on the Kickstarter, late Kickstarter, where you can join the Resistance if you want, which helps replicants. You don't have to be a replicant to be in the Resistance, you just have to be sympathetic.
Okay.
So yeah, and then Hobbit Corner, brief next year. I'm going to do an episode on this. I'm going to start planning 2 very counter programming games.
Right.
And I'm going to be writing a blog, and I'm going to be possibly talking about it as part of my Know Your Beard, about how to plan and run games now while planning for the medium future, while planning for the long future.
Wow.
And I'm going to do this with the One Ring.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
And absolute counter programming the Star Trek to
Oh, cool.
So, Bone is coming after Christmas, so I'm going shopping after Christmas.
Yeah.
Pick the books up. I've been watching how to play them and how to
You're
stream
not
them.
buying a new Army of War?
Yes, a brand new army I'll give to you.
I don't need any more, mate.
So yeah, that's me, but that's next year for 2025, which will be another episode, because that will be a future programming coming soon. But yeah, what about you?
Painting. More painting.
Tell the good folks at home what time you went to bed last night.
I went to bed at 2:30 in the morning last night to finish with my last space.
Did you stick that? Just let him dry, stickers to
Yeah, it's the bases, man.
No, not. It's just
the base. It's like I
absolutely
can get the
finished.
model done, and then I've got to do his base. Otherwise, it looks weird and just in the black disc. So, and it, part of the look and stuff. And, honestly, mate, it's watching paint dry.
And literally, and
It's-
the most important question to all the listeners is: do you? I know the answer to this, but I need you to know: do you use tactical touch?
Yeah, first time ever using tactical tufts, and they're game changing. And fake snow. Oh, it's glorious. But But yeah, so it's all systems go because our lovely friends at our local hobby shop are doing a new crusade in the start of January, middle of January.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe. Running a new crusade, and I'm trying to make sure I've got everything painted in time for this new crusade.
Is it likely? That's not being flippant. Are you?
Yeah, if I continue at the rate I'm currently going, then yes.
Did you? Oh, that's the other question for you about your Hobbit Corner, because last Hobbit Corner you were going to have a week off and paint every day. Did you manage?
Yeah, but I didn't manage to do like a full miniature every day. So what I ended up having to do was put all the transfers and all the chipping and sort of final touches on a squad of 5, and then build, assemble, prime, and get another one next squad started. You see what I mean? Yeah. So yes, I did hobby every day. But I didn't get what I wanted to do was get one full miniature painted every single day, and that didn't happen.
Was that over ambitious on your part, or was
I
that
think I
just
didn't realise how long it would take me to apply like all the transfers, all the chipping, and all that sort of those final touches, which make such a difference.
It's really easy to chipping because you just give it to your dog.
Yeah, well, this is it.
And then he eats it.
He's eaten one miniature already. £30 for a new one.
Did that come out of his pocket money?
Yeah.
You can't have your dog treats now
budget
because you've just
eaten plastic.
Yeah.
Plastic Space Marine. But yeah, so that's been mine, and we're all systems go for that. And then in regards to any tabletop stuff, then yeah, we're playing still Monday night every week, which we're having a great time with. And yeah, it's
see the 5.5 is good fun.
Playing Alien with you guys again, it's loads of fun.
Yeah, it's nice to.
We all started panicking. I screamed, made everyone else panic.
Just wait to the new stuff. For those of you listening, as a new mechanic, it's not a spoiler because it's explained really early on. Within Heart of Darkness, it's what is for those of you
a madness roll.
It's a madness roll because you're so close to a black hole that you are affected by the gravity, and it makes you go mental. And eventually,
looking forward to rolling playing that.
You can't stop it happening. So eventually, you're all going to go mad. It's just whether you solve what you want to solve, or figure out what you want to solve before the madness takes you too long. It's all right. None of them got eyeballs.
No. But yeah, so that's been me. Anything else you want to go through?
No. On that bombshell, we'll leave you to your Christmas shopping.
Hope it's not too hellish. Stay away from Mariah Carey and Michael Bublé. And,
do you know he's offended that he's thought it was a Christmas guy?
He's a Christmas goblin.
I know. Well, I say offended. He's probably
Steph makes us put on the Michael Bublé album when we put our Christmas decorations up. You know, the fake fireplace video on YouTube.
Oh, we have Vince Guaraldi Trio.
All right.
So
it sounds a bit more cultured.
But it's basically the Christmas album that was played. It's the guy who does the music for Charlie Brown.
Right. Okay. That's cool.
And there's the Christmas album for their Christmas episode, and it's Charlie Brown music.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate the Bublé stuff. He's just a crooner. He's on One Day for Frank Sinatra or whatever. But like, it's just
The other one that's
Christmas Goblin.
Okay, Kevin should be writing. This is where you need to text Adam, not me, with this answer. So halfway through the week when you listen to this episode, he'll get the answer. There's that Christmas album that's produced by that dude who got done for murder. That's a really good Christmas album. Please tell Adam who it is so we can go and listen to it because it's great.
Sounds fantastic.
Let me kill him.
Cool.
Right then, on that note.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks for listening.
Adam's going to sing us out now.
I'm not.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
That's not me.
Everywhere you go. And I don't know this line, but he's off to have a vape. The hat on his head. Yes, it is.